never sold records in America.
Yeah, I mean, I sold, you know, a few million records all over the world, but in America, I was always known by guys like you and all the musicians and the press, right? But so, like, a guy walks up to me with this magazine, and he's like, oh, here, and it's like the usual story of my life. You know, he opens it, oh, Stevie, I'm on the cover of a magazine in Argentina. But, you know, my mom and dad never got to see all those great magazines, except for the years when you were at they put me in the magazine.
Yeah, Rip Color Code.
Yeah, they shot me. I was playing Lollapalooza last year down in South America.
Now, what were you doing in Lollapalooza?
You know, I play in a side band.
What's it called?
It's called Mass Mental, and it's a Robert Trujillo's side band. He's in a band called Metallica. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but he has this freak out jazz fusion. I don't know what it is. It's like, you know, you got to know funk, and of course I used to play with George Clinton boots, so you got to rock, right? So we do a set of vintage Sabbath at the end of the night, and you got to also be able to get kind of outside, because it's him and Armand Sabaleko, the Cameroonian bass player that plays with Herbie Hancock and Stanley Clarke. So they do some shit that you're just, but it's Brooks Wackerman, so it's got this punk rock, metal funk, crazy beat going on. It's just a weird gig. And you kind of got to always be on your toes, because there's two bass players, so there's not a lot of room for guitar, because they never had a guitar player until they invited me. So it's been a real good gig for me. It was a lot of fun.
That keeps your chop sharp doing those side projects.
You got it. Yeah, well,
that's like what Luke did with Doves of Fire. Remember that Mahavishnu thing?
It's exactly that. If you're lucky enough, you're asked to play in those kind of gigs.
Yeah.
And then you got to really play, right? Because then it's like, guys are like, you know, we can play some shit here, and people are like, wow, that's so awesome. And deep down, you know it's fucking shit. Right? But then when you play with those guys, they look at you and then they'll start laughing in your face. Like, what is that fucking bullshit? You know, you're like, oh, what do you mean? So, you know, it makes you, you got to step up.
Do you like Phil X?
Phil X is my favorite guitar player right now on the planet. You know, I brought him over to Framus Guitars with me. He's got the new X models, Framus signature.
Right.
And plus, you know what I like about Phil X? He brought back the muscle. He plays with a tone like Angus Young.
Right.
But he plays Eddie Van Halen licks with it, with that clear, like, you gotta be, there's no room for error with that kind of sound, and he is pure muscle. And you just have to look at him and say, done. And then he'll turn around and sing Black Dog and play it note for note while he sings it. It sounds like Robert Plant plays it kind of better than Jimmy Page, I hate to say.
Do you rehearse with the Stones?
I don't rehearse with the Stones. I don't even really, you know, I worked with Jagger.
Right.
I was his music director when he went solo.
Okay.
And played guitar.
Yeah.
And then like...
Can you teach him some licks?
No, but I let him borrow some guitars. I watched him, but you know what Jagger really has as a guitar player? And you can hear it on the Some Girls album. All that Some Girls album had was the beginning of punk rock in England, right? And Jagger comes over and he starts playing a song like Respectable, like we play Respectable. And he doesn't go ner like some goon, right? He's like, oh, it's Jagger, right? And he plays it with like he's got a real street punk rock energy. Mick Jagger does. It's really authentic. It's not like a poser. You know when all the rockers cut all their hair off and then they pretended they were punk rockers and it was so lame? Jagger really's got a punk rock edge. And when he plays, it's like, you know, it's really Jagger.
Maybe Townsend wasn't the first punk rocker. Maybe Jagger was.
Well, I think they both were. You know, it's funny, I'm making a film with the Smithsonian right now, and I'm going to see Townsend next month. But Townsend probably originally was, those guys were really punk rockers, right? And if you think about it, you think about the mod scene and all that stuff.
Right.
And they were all, you know, the Jam and everybody was ripping off Townsend.
Yeah.
So Townsend, Jeff Beck,
yeah.
Back then it didn't, you couldn't put him in a category because Jeff Beck, I mean, what the hell is Jeff Beck is so insane. He's not a blues guitar player, but he is a blues guitar.
He's an alien.
Yeah, and if anybody went, only Clapton was much more to me when he was in Cream and stuff was so diversified into some madness. And somehow he got so locked into the old blues that he kind of got stuck there. I find him to be the least fascinating out of the Mount Rushmore guys. But
the Mount Rushmore.
You know, your Mount Rushmore guys, you got Clapton, Page, Jeff Beck, and it would be Townsend probably, right? Maybe Hendrix. I mean, for the British guys, maybe. Right?
British.
Link Ray should be in that thing as well.
Alan Holmes.
Alan, yeah. He's next generation.
I saw him on a cruise ship. On the Prague Rock cruise.
Everybody's doing the cruise ships now, huh?
That's what you do.
See, if I was on the cruise ship, though, I wouldn't want to play. I'd want to just go cruise. I don't, you know, that's my thing. It's like, I like the leisure. I don't want to play. I'm not like, I'm no big big hurry to want to play. I want to play when I'm inspired. So if I had to go play and I'm on a cruise ship and I got shit, I'm laying on this couch and that stuff feels good. Now I gotta go fucking play. I don't know.
What's your favorite guitar to play?
Well, I'm not just saying this, but my favorite guitar now is my famous Idolmaker that I designed. Famous because it's everything of all the 25 years of different guitars that I've had, different signature models that put into one guitar. So for me, it's amazing. But I mean, I have a guitar I built in high school that I did all. I've used it for George Clinton. When I was a kid, I used it for Bootsy Collins, and I used it for on the Was Not Was record in '87. I used it on the Rod Stewart tour in '88. I used it on about 80 or 90 records, major label records, including just a couple years ago, I used it with Justin Timberlake on Justin Timberlake's Dead and Gone record that sold 2 million copies. This guitar I built in high school is the best recording guitar, and it's just like this weird hybrid Frankenstein.
It's pieced together.
I put it together in high school. I had a neck and a body, and I bolted, And when I was 16 or 17, and it's just one of those guitars. And I used it on Michael Hutchins' album before Michael died, and I used it on Justin Timberlake's album, and I used it on Color Code and all my albums. It's one of those rare guitars that just works on everybody's
Where
record.
do you keep it, in a safe place?
It's actually, I got a.
Speaking of Smithsonian,
No, well, my weird green guitar is in Smithsonian. But this guitar stays with me. It's but I got like 100 guitars. I don't know. I know where that one is though, because that would be my one. If I had to really like leave the house with the house burning, even with like.
if I had to leave the house with the house burning, I'd grab that.
That's the one I would grab. That
Yeah.